In the latest edition of Football Morning in America, Peter King breaks down the Antonio Brown trade and gets you ready for free agency. Available now at profootballtalk.com. Okay, Chris, I think you've been hanging around me too much, buddy, because I tend to be a little on the cynical side, and I don't know whether or not I always think that there are conspiracy theories. It's kind of fun because we know that there's always more than meets the eye. There's always something going on behind the curtain. There's always, very few things happen accidentally or spontaneously in the NFL. Everything is very planned out. So you suggested earlier, and we didn't really know exactly what we're going to do in this segment. There's so many things to talk about. The fruit is falling out of the sky and landing in our shoes right now.
Seriously.
I want you to lay out the theory that you shared with me earlier. And let's just be clear before everybody blames this on me. This is Chris Sims' theory, not mine. Although I may co-sign. Let's see how he explains it. Go ahead.
Well, just a theory. And I really feel honored that you're setting the floor up for me like this, because this means it must have made somewhat sense, at least to a degree.
No, I'm setting you up to fail.
Okay,
go ahead.
Thank you. Either way. But I think to your point, yes, very few things in the NFL are an accident. I mean, we know there's a lot of back channeling and conversations going. The NFL can talk about, no talking or tampering all you want, but we know tampering goes on. I'm just throwing this out there, and I have no knowledge of this, but I just know a guy who's followed football my whole life, and especially very closely here since I played and my career has been over, where I just looked at this situation yesterday and said, what if the Oakland Raiders and the Antonio Brown camp, Drew Rosenhaus, the agent for Antonio Brown, knew about the liking of the Oakland Raiders for Antonio Brown all along? What if this was a master ploy all along? Antonio Brown, hey, we're the Oakland Raiders. We really want you. We need you. We need a wide receiver. We got a young quarterback. He's really good. I'm John Gruden. I am amazing at drawing plays for wide receivers. And, you want money? You want more guaranteed money, Mr. Big Chest? No problem. We got it. But the one thing I'm not liking about this is I don't want to trade away my first-round picks. I have a lot of holes in my team. I have a lot of holes I have to fill in. I really don't want to give away those. How can we maybe get you? I'll pay you your money, and we don't have to give away some of my high-end picks. You know what, Antonio? How about you go on social media and just act a fool and just start dictating things and making videos and go on the shop with LeBron James and lower your trade value to now where we don't have to trade away one of our first-round picks, and we can get you for a 3rd and 5, and we'll get you here, get you out of Pittsburgh, and we'll get you that money you want. I'm just saying those are things that I've heard happen before, and I don't know if this happened now, but I wouldn't shock me if this became true somewhere down the road.
And think about football. Everything about it is strategic. It's detailed. It's all planned out. And it doesn't end when the season ends, especially when you have a very creative and fertile mind like the one that belongs to John Gruden. I mean, that guy's getting up at 3 a.m. not to go sit in his office and watch reruns of Seinfeld. He's in there working.
Right.
And when you can't work with your players, when you can't really do the kinds of thing that coaches do, then you can spend that time doing other things like coming up with ways to make your team better and thinking outside the box. And what a shock that a team may fracture a rule or two in the process. It's the ultimate Machiavellian enterprise here, where all's fair in love and war and football. And of all teams to have this happen, Al Davis wouldn't have. Al Davis would have done it.
He's smiling
he
in his grave right now. He's smiling right now. He loves that they got this done and got Antonio Brown. He's a perfect Steeler. It just makes but so wait. So you kind of like my theory a little bit. You're not shocked by it either, is what you're telling me, though.
No, I kind of like it. I mean, it's the same. It's not the same. It's kind of like the flip side of my idea that the Steelers were bound and determined to get rid of him because at some point Ben Roethlisberger went to the Steelers and said, it's him or it's me, which wouldn't shock me. We know things like that have happened, and we know how Ben Roethlisberger is. And you look at how much Antonio Brown has agitated Ben Roethlisberger as part of this.
Right.
It's been Brown saying and doing things to get out of Pittsburgh, but he keeps poking and poking at Ben Roethlisberger. At one point, Brown weaponized Twitter against Roethlisberger.
Yes.
He found a couple of tweets mentioning Roethlisberger's sexual assault cases from 10 years ago, and he pressed that little like button. So you go to Antonio Brown's list of all the tweets he's liked, and the top 2 were about Roethlisberger and his past accusations of sexual assault. If the line hadn't been crossed before then, it sure as hell was crossed with that move. And I think that that between maybe the Raiders trying to set this up,
right,
and Roethlisberger wanting this guy out, even though he's still one of the best receivers in the NFL, I think that it all makes sense. That this isn't something that just happened out of the blue, and this isn't simply Antonio Brown wanting out. There's a lot of layers to this that we may never know the full extent of, but it could be the only way to logically explain whatever it is that has happened, that such a great player ends up being given away for a 3 and a 5.
Well, I remember, I don't know if it was last week or the week we were at the Combine where you said a comment like maybe Antonio Brown's either lost his mind and he's going crazy, or he's really smart and knows something we don't and he's planning something. And I don't know, when I see, one of the best receivers over the age of 30, I understand that lowers his trade value and all of that. But when I see a guy act the way he did and get traded only for a 3rd and a 5th and also get what he wanted on the back end, sometimes they just go, ooh, the setup was in maybe. Like I said, to start the 7 o'clock hour too, I was told by many people that there was no market for Antonio Brown. I mean, most teams got no further than just really a call. Let me just see what they're asking for, and that was it. Most teams deemed him as, we don't want him on our team. Radioactive was one of the phrases I was told by somebody who had knowledge of the situation in general. So I think that shows you too. I just wonder if they were smart enough, Drew Rosenhaus, Antonio Brown, to set it up this way to get it done. Just throwing it out there, conspiracy theory. Do you believe there was a second man on the grassy knoll, or do you think Oswald was the lone gunman?
Are we really going there?
I want to know. I just wanted to know your thought on that real quick.
I think it's a mystery of which we'll never know the answer, but that was one magic loogie, as Jerry Seinfeld once said. Anyway, back you really threw me with that.
I know you did.
I really do wonder, though, if this happened, right, because we're going to have players who are inspired and emboldened by what Antonio Brown did, and this is the ultimate way to turn the tables, Chris. Another point you made during the break, and it's very appropriate here. We have seen for years, as the start of the league year approaches, what happens? Teams rip up contracts one after the other. They exercise their rights under those deals to tell guys, see you later.
Right.
And guys have not had the equal opportunity to say, I want out. It's always been a one-way situation where the team either honors the contract or doesn't, but the player is expected to always honor the contract. This gives an opening, and the question becomes, how many other players will try to do the same thing? And Chris, if you got stuff going on behind the scenes, like now I'm sitting here thinking, who is Odell Beckham Jr. going to work with to try to get out of New York? And is it going to happen now? Does it happen next year? What do you do if you're Odell Beckham to follow what Antonio Brown did and also supersede it? Because what's going to happen for Beckham, he's going to have Brown now making more money than him, and Tyreek Hill is going to make more money than Beckham, and Julio Jones is going to make more money than Beckham, and Michael Thomas is going to make more than Beckham. At what point does Beckham snap and say, sorry, I know I signed this deal that covers 6 seasons, but there's no way the team's going to honor it, so I don't want to honor it either. I want a new contract.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't think about Odell Beckham Jr. yesterday and just sitting there watching as this all unfolded and hearing all the stories going, man, I wonder what Odell's thinking about this. I wonder if Odell's really happy in New York. All of those things go through my brain. I think the big thing is that Antonio Brown did and what he showed, and what I don't know if other players are always going to have the guts to see it through, because hey, players for the most part, they want to be liked. I mean, they're human beings and they're used to people liking them. Antonio Brown showed that he didn't give a damn whether people liked him, and that's the precedence he set too. So yeah, he got what he wanted, but he also was willing to stand in there in the fire for the last few weeks, and we all called him a renegade and what's he doing? This is a horrible approach. I mean, we talked about him and we said a lot of unflattering things about his approach, but he was willing to do that to get what he wanted. And that's where I think star players will really have to figure out, are they willing to go down that lane to go, okay, I'm going to become enemy X in my home territory and a lot of other cities other than the team I just end up playing for when all's said and done. If players can swallow that, this is their play going forward to where, yeah, they can gain a little leverage against the owners and the way the current CBA is set up.
And the way that the fans have reacted over the years to that disconnect between owners and players, when the owners make shrewd business decisions, they get applauded. When the players try to do it, they get vilified.
Drives me
but you
crazy.
know what? Let's play this out.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move it a few steps forward. Now that Brown has taken a stand and he's won and he's flexed his muscles and he's emerged with more power, at some point, a team is going to feel compelled, and maybe it will be John Mara to Odell Beckham Jr. if Beckham tries to make a power play. Maybe a team is going to try to play hardball with a player, and when that happens, how will we react as media and fans when a team says you have signed a contract and you are obligated and we will seek the repayment of bonus money and we will suspend you for conduct detrimental to the team? And, it takes us back to 2005. And I've always said Terrell Owens was ahead of his time in trying to get more for what he was giving to the team, and he got ripped mercilessly for that. The next time there's a showdown like that, the Steelers chose not to engage in it, but the next time there's a showdown like that, Chris, will we align with the player or will we align with the team? And I think more people will now be inclined to align with the player after what Antonio Brown pulled off.
I think so. I hope so. I mean, hey, the billionaire owners, they got $1 billion as is. And yes, to your point, it always drives me crazy. I mean, Antonio Brown, he's not, you look at the comments under some of the articles you wrote under Pro Football Talk, anything like that, it's all negative other than Raiders fans. Raiders fans are the only people that like Antonio Brown in the country now. Everybody else hates him and thinks he's a jerk, which, I understand he's not perfect for everybody, but again, this was a business decision that he made, and it might not be perfect, but he got what he wanted in the end of the day. And I just hope people can appreciate the lack of different ways players can play business with the way the CBA is set up. Again, I want to sit here and go, we always hear about, these players signed contracts and, they got to honor, the players got to honor the contract. Well, hey, the Jacksonville Jaguars let go Malik Jackson and Tashawn Gibson. The Cowboys asked Sean Lee to restructure his contract this year. I can go on and on with players, and there's never those comments underneath those articles going, the team signed a contract, they need to honor that. Drives me freaking crazy, the hypocrisy in that, and why people would side with the $1 billion owner who they have nothing in common with over the player who works hard and they have a lot more in common with than they realize.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.